As we close out March in our series for International Women's Month, the gender divide in reinvention is one of the most powerful insights yet. But before we get started, I have to ask a favor of you guys. Down below, you will actually see a link to a 5-minute survey, and it's all around reinvention. This is a collaboration with my good friend, Dr. Nadia Zhishimbaiva, and she has been working on reinvention for over 10 years, studying it, creating tools, doing training programs. And this data will help shape some of the insights moving forward. And if you're watching this video, we need to hear from voices like you and your thoughts on reinvention. So today, after you watch this video, take the 5 minutes and fill out the survey for me. So let's jump in. The single biggest skill that companies need today in mastering is reinvention. In today's volatile world, in times of uncertainty, you have to be able to adapt. That is what Dr. Nadia Zhishimbaiva does each and every day. I've taken her courses, I've gone to Dublin, and just really soaked it all in. I've reinvented my company, but I'm helping companies also reinvent their businesses. But I decided to put her questions in my survey and find out what people thought about how often do you need to reinvent. So let's think about that. If you said, how often do companies need to reinvent to stay relevant? 1 year, you have to reinvent every year or less, 1 to 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, etc. And so think about which gender would you believe would be more likely to say reinvention is needed more frequently, men versus women? Well, if you guessed women being more frequently, saying that companies need to reinvent more frequently, you would be right. If you guessed men, sorry, that would be wrong. Look at this data. So 23% of women say that companies need to reinvent every year or less versus 17% for men. So that is a full 6-point difference. So that mindset of reinvention seems to come more naturally to women. When you expand that time horizon, you can see there's a 10-point gap, the 40% versus 50%. So it's clear that from a women's mindset, and these are very large sample sizes, that women have a mindset of reinvention greater than men. Now, I have to say I might have been a little surprised about that. I can't tell you why, but I was surprised that these gaps were as big as they were. The other data point that was interesting is women aren't necessarily thinking about reinvention just from a work perspective. They're also thinking about it from their personal lives. When I asked the question, what percent of people are reassessing what's important to them in their lives, 60% of women actually agree or strongly agree with that versus 54% of men. So there's another data point that this mindset of shifting, this mindset of reinvention, reassessing, tends to skew more female, which I think is pretty interesting. So what's the so what, now what? There are 3 things I want to leave you with. The first is disruptions. They are perfectly predictable. We don't know exactly what they're going to be, but we know they're going to happen. Whether it's AI, whether it's supply chain, it's tariffs, it's global conflicts. Disruption is the only constant that we're living in today. So being able to prepare through reinvention and adaptability is critical like it's never been before. Number 2, the gender divide was so much greater than I expected. And so women are actually leaning into more reinvention and reassessing in their own personal lives. So in your own life, in your own company, how can you leverage that for growth? And then number 3, please, please, please take the 5 minutes to fill out that survey below. And I cannot wait to learn from the insights that you're going to share, and I'll share those back with you. Until next time.